Crowder returns to campus for the first time in years to address Charlie Kirk's murder. All right, let's see it.
Leveled up. This is Steven Crowder in beast mode.
Just the definition of political violence, I want to make sure we both agree on it.
He gets the other person to agree upon the definition of political violence.
Crowder started this whole thing. Like, Crowder started the whole change my mind thing.
Violence as a tool being used toward a political end.
I think I can agree with you on that.
Okay,
yes.
Good.
And you're going to see why this is so important.
Yeah, it's really important to start with a definition, because otherwise they can weasel their way out of it.
Just a minute.
That's why I always ask for definitions, by the way, whenever I have an argument with somebody. It's because if you don't come to terms with like what the definition of what you're discussing is, you're going to end up talking past each other, and it doesn't actually get you anywhere.
The political violence is coming from the left. It's not proportionate with that on the right.
We could make the same statement about the right very easily.
So she's going to go to the top talking point that we've been hearing in response to Charlie Kirk.
Was it just a month or two ago that the Democratic lawmakers were shot, and that was like, all right. I think our bigger problem is that the
Talk about the Hortmans in Minnesota, right?
Right.
Watch how Crowder handles this.
The man who assassinated, which I roundly condemn, Vance Bolter, the Hortmans, did not do it as a means to a political end. He said Tim Walz ordered him to assassinate somebody who was out of his mind.
So this is an individual that sounds insane.
Oh, it didn't count as political violence.
Based on the definition you agreed to, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Now people on the other
true,
side are going to try and counter and claim, well, how do you know that the guy who shot Charlie Kirk was not insane? He articulated his reasoning. For one, the insanity of one individual does not explain the responses we saw on my own college campus across the country.
Yes.
People celebrating.
And this is what I said when it happened, is that, you know, obviously it's such a tragedy, like what happened with Charlie Kirk. Obviously, like, you know, somebody getting fucking, you know, shot like that in front of their family, in front of like a bunch of fans. Like, this is, it's obviously a terrible thing. But what I said when it happened was that wasn't the pivotal thing. I'm not trying to disrespect here at all when I say that, but what I mean is that not really the important thing, but the pivotal thing that shifted everything was the responses from everybody around to that event occurring. I think that if Charlie Kirk got shot, and you know, I don't think that the cultural shift would have been that much if it wasn't for that response. I think definitely there would have been a little bit of a political shift. You know, people talking about, you know, violence on, you know, the right, the left, whatever. They're gonna, you know, they're gonna go through they're gonna go through the motions of like blaming each other and like, oh, you know, there's political violence on both sides, and they're gonna do all that, right? Obviously. But I think what has changed a lot of minds, a lot of hearts and minds, is the absolute ghoulish, just demonic behavior that came out of the people during that time. You saw in Maine, everybody went full mask off. And it was at that moment that everybody understood who they were, right? They were all demons hiding their identity. But the instant they thought they had a chance to basically talk shit and to show their true colors, they all went mask off, and they did it. They did it on a level on a level previously unmatched, basically. Right? Like, they did something similar when Trump almost got shot, and when Corey died, they did something similar. But it wasn't like everybody. It was like a couple people. I mean, like Destiny and stuff like that, right? But everybody seeing the response to the Charlie Kirk one, it's changed a lot of people, and it's changed me. And I'm pretty sure it's changed you guys as well. Like, it's changed my outlook on everything, basically. Like, since that day, I've been like, I don't want to live with these people anymore. It's completely, it's gone from like, oh, well, you know, we gotta like, you know, we're still like, you know, we should still try to like reach out to each other. And I just don't give a fuck anymore. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like, okay, you want me to die. You would be happy if I died. Because again, like, Charlie was just in the way of us, right? Charlie was just in the way of like everybody that believed in like what Charlie, and it kind of like, I think everybody sort of was able to use, like, it was almost like Charlie was like a substitute doll, right? Where like they were trying to hit us, but he was just there. And it's completely changed how I feel about the people nowadays. It's like somebody, you know, kind of wilds out on me, or they talk some shit about like, you know, oh, you know, this. I'm no longer in the, oh, let me like convince this person that like I'm not a bad person. I'm no longer in the let me convince them that I'm not what they say. You know, call me a Nazi, and like let me convince them I'm not. Now I'm just like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Just like fuck off. Like I don't care anymore. Like they're like, oh, you're a Nazi? Yeah, well, you know what? Fuck you. That's kind of how I feel about it now.
Parties claiming this is a good thing. Did we see that in regards to the death of those two lawmakers?
But I think we could pick a more clear example, a multitude of them. The reason we're here, and I don't think you would argue that this is unnecessary, the assassination in cold blood is an act of terrorism of Charlie Kirk. Is that political violence?
And again, sorry, I just want to clarify. Like, this is people from all walks of life. This isn't like a far right thing of like far right people being fed up. This is a lot of people. They have severely overplayed their hand, in my opinion. They have overplayed so hard. They have no idea the amount of people that they lost, like the amount of the plot that they lost, to the point that you have a lot of people in the center that are just like, yeah, you guys are fucked. You have even people like you have people even in the left being like, yeah, you guys are fucked. It's really bad.
The fact that she has to sit here and pause and think about that.
In a good way. I'm actually glad. I'm actually glad that we know now. To be honest, I wouldn't have it any other way. Good. Show us exactly how you are, and that's good. I love that.
You seem so confident on the Hortmans, but not Charlie Kirk.
I would say, I was just thinking about your question.
She does come around and admits, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, probably because he was like Turning Point USA is a conservative organization, right? That's meant to try and rally young conservatives and be involved. And so, yeah, I would probably agree that his death was a political, or his murder, assassination. But I guess I just have a hard time reconciling that with, you know, we can say that the senator and her husband being killed wasn't political, but...
I'll tell you exactly why.
You know?
I'll tell you exactly why. Because the express motive of the terrorist who assassinated Charlie Kirk was politics.
Are you targeting someone because they are politically effective and you want to achieve a different political outcome?
I thought that guy was a registered Republican, and then he...
It doesn't really matter, though.
The guy who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. I'm sorry,
you have a lot of this happen, by the way, as well, with things like... Dude, this is like a play that they love to do. I don't mean her specifically. She seems like she's trying to be reasonable and trying to actually like engage with Carter. I'm talking with like a lot of the people on the left. They love to play this where they say, oh, a black person was killed by a white person. Or here's another common one that they do a lot. A trans person died. So like this trans person died. It's because they're trans that they died, even though that's not even the reason. But they'll immediately jump to that like all trans people that died because that they're trans. And there's no other, like the motive wasn't, they don't actually care what the motive was, right? So for instance, if you were to actually try to calculate like the amount of like violence against trans people, you would have to know that the reason that the person is killing them is specifically because they're trans, and it's not like just a coincidence. It's not just like they were killed for a different reason, and then them being trans is just it's just a thing that they are, and it's like the reason. It has nothing to do with the reason that they were murdered. Yeah, and you have this happen all the time.
Crooks.
Yeah, that he was a registered Republican.
Look, if you're trying to kill a president, what is important here is that you don't want that person to be president. What ideology does that reflect? It's not like, well, who did he vote for 2 elections ago?
So would you consider him an act of violence on the left or on the right?
I would consider the attempted assassination of a presidential nominee political violence, yes. People can say he was a registered Republican. That doesn't change the fact that it was an act of political violence carried out against Donald Trump, who's a conservative.
Yes. I hear what you're saying, that the right is targeted more often.
Yeah, we're the victims of political violence.
More often. There's clear information, data that shows us that the left is violent or is more violent than the right.
Yes, not only in crime statistics, but also in the polling after Charlie Kirk's death.
At Harvard, for example, 34% of students believed that violence was an acceptable course of action to prevent someone like Charlie Kirk. What was the response of that student at Harvard? I'm surprised it's not higher. Why? Because Harvard's a very liberal school. Think about the logic of what he's saying there.
Yep.
If you look at the polls post-assassination of Charlie Kirk, and you label yourself as a moderate, those who identify as liberal support political violence at a ratio of 6 to 1. You still can't point me to an example that is comparable on the right of Charlie Kirk, someone who was not an elected official, a public figure who was really notable for nothing more than expressing his opinion and having conversations, who was assassinated in cold blood and then gleefully celebrated thereafter.
And this is a powerful point. If you could think of one, let me know. I can't.
The only off-ramp would have been the left saying, look, it's incumbent upon us.
That sound you're hearing when he hits his chest there, that's the body armor.
Yeah, body armor.
To tone this down and say, you know what? They're not fascist. We made these people believe that this guy would never relinquish the reins of power. How do you deal with fascists? You can't do it at a ballot box.
Because if what many are claiming is true, resistance would be warranted.
Yep.
You have a huge portion of Democrats who believe that about Donald Trump and his voters.
Yeah, I mean, I believe you saying that people believe that. Absolutely.
Yep.
That's very different between the right and the left, isn't it?
I mean, I don't know, Stephen. It feels like it's so polarized right now.
It's as though she just does not
doesn't want to,
admit what he's saying, but he is laying it out so clearly she does not have a choice.
I would disagree, though. I think the left does have their own fears about it. Maybe it's not exactly the same, but I think there's a lot of fear out there.
Of course they have fear. They think half the country are fascists. So
Yeah.
okay.
It's just not. It's just different.
The leftist speakers on this campus don't need the same kind of security.
It doesn't matter, by the way. Even if the left fears people on the right, that doesn't change. It doesn't change the facts of what Crowder's point is. Basically, it doesn't matter, because you can say that like a person has deluded themselves into like whatever. It doesn't justify it.
Don't.
I'll take note of that. I mean, I've been a student here for 2 years, and I hadn't even paid that much attention.
Which is
Katie Espinette says, this is why I say she's not a moderate. Most level-headed moderates immediately shame the left for violence. Well, to be honest, a lot of people are very misled. And this is the obvious result of just the media having such a control over things. Like, I'll give you like an interesting thing. Did you know that in other places in the world, they like basically only get CNN? So like I was talking to my aunt from Japan, right? And all of my family in Japan thought that Trump was literally the fucking worst. And I was like, oh yeah, well, what did he do? And they basically were like, yeah, I heard that on CNN. And it's like, that's like the news that people get elsewhere in the world. Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, it's obviously like an extreme example because it's a different country and you have only like one choice of channel, right? But like, I mean, let's be honest, even in our own country, we have a ton of that. We have a ton, like most of the media is kind of slanted in that way, and most of the culture is slanted in that way, right? I mean, I'll give you a good example. I mean, look at how Kirk got freaking kicked out of that VTuber con, and she wasn't allowed to go there. Basically, they hold a lot of power. The left previously, I don't know if that's the case anymore because of the Charlie Kirk thing, but the left previously held a fuck ton of power, like a lot of power. And like, let's not forget that. Like, we all remember that wasn't that long ago. It's only recently, like, honestly, like the one I can think of is like Bud Light. It's only recently that basically people said, you know what? I'm fucking done. I'm done. I'm not accepting any of your fucking bullshit anymore. It's just over. I'm done. I don't care. Call me a fucking hater or a bigot. I don't care anymore. It's only recently that that kind of stuff has happened. People have started to take a stand.
Why this is so scary, because Charlie Kirk was killed doing the one thing that could de-escalate this situation.
So how do we fix this then?
Oh, I mean, I think we need to have more civil discourse. I think.
Can't do that. We get shot.
Well, we can. We're doing it right now.
Yeah, but Crowder just paid $250,000 in security to make this happen. He's got Navy SEALs standing next to him.
Let's
With
not
a brigade.
be so pessimistic. But Stephen, come on, we have to change our attitudes about it.
So she's kind of shifting her argument into the both sides sort of a thing, which is like this is the common fallback for a lot of people that do have this, because once the facts fail, it's kind of like, well, shouldn't we all just get along then?
What does that mean? Because we still have to be realistic about what actually is.
We can't constantly fixate on the negative stuff. I know it's important and it matters, but we can do it.
Yeah, it's easy to say that when you are...
Yeah, it's easy to say that when you're not the one that's being affected by it. Yeah. When you're the one that doesn't have to worry about people coming after you, about physical violence, you know, people calling you a Nazi, people calling you a fascist, and kind of basically setting you up to get executed by people.
Not being accused of being a fascist.
And just as
I can do it with $250,000 of security. Most people don't have that.
Most people don't have that. And you know, you talk about like fearing for your life.
Yeah.
I am a female pastor.
Oh, she's a female pastor, so therefore you're at danger of assassination.
I too live with a fear.
Do you have metal detectors and armed security?
We've thought about bringing security to the church. We talked about it.
We literally can't have these discussions on our side unless we have it.
We have security.
It's a necessity.
Yeah. And I think that's
Like,
really...
I don't know where they're going with this. I mean, like, literally, it's not even remotely the same. So it's like, I don't understand where she's going with it.
And this is the response you're going to see. Well, yeah, it's unfortunate. It's like when I got fired, that was the response I got from my childhood friends. Well, yeah, sorry you lost your job, Warren. It's unfortunate, but you did say this about J.K. Rowling, so what do you expect?
Do you think it would be more helpful to call the left out and say, hey, you guys have been saying fascist, you guys have been saying Nazi, you guys have been saying genocide, sexist, and people believe it, and we're seeing political violence now that we both hate. Do you think that calling them out aggressively, rhetorically, might be more productive than saying, well, I guess it happens on both sides?
Yeah.
It is all about being able to acknowledge...
Because they're going to keep doing it as long as they believe it's socially acceptable. That's why. Because why change your behavior when there's no consequences? And that's how it's... That is like just important thing of human nature is humans do not change their course of action unless there is... most of the time, you know, obviously not all the time, but most of the time humans do not change the course of action unless there's some kind of negative stimuli or some kind of consequences. Basically, it's the only thing that causes people to change. So if there's no pressure for these people to change, they're not going to change. Why would they? It's better for their egos to not
correct behavior, but we live in a world today.
Guys, lately I've been reading stuff and like listening to lectures on like psychology. Dude, it is fucking dark. Like, it's one of the darkest topics that you could learn about. Every time I learn something about psychology or listen to some lecture, it's so like, it just feels like the dark arts, you know, every time. It's just like human nature is so fucked. Yeah.
Where incorrect behavior does not exist. It's all just a matter of perspective.
Right now?
No, I don't, because it kind of reminds me of therapy, you know, where it's not necessarily helpful to point the finger in ways that are counterproductive.
And that's exactly what we're hearing right here. We can't point the finger at objectively incorrect behavior because it's counterproductive. Then how do we identify incorrect behavior?
Maybe let me ask you then this way, where you say pointing fingers. What is the reason that we record crime statistics?
I don't know.
That is why we have crime statistics, because that allows us to track incorrect behavior when that objective line was crossed.
If we look at those statistics and we look at the polls and we see a vast and over...
It's so weird how when it comes to like anything like this, people just throw away all logic. Like the statistics don't matter. Right? Like when you can learn from them, people just decide to bury their heads in the sand out of risk of sounding like they're being prejudiced about something. But I feel like that's how you solve the problems, is that you have to recognize that the problem exists and that there is a pattern. And by doing that, that's how you're actually able to target and solve the problem. But I feel like a lot of people just bury their heads in the sand because it makes you feel like you're not a bad person. Like, I think we need to like kind of, I think we need to, as a society, destigmatize prejudice. And I don't mean that in a way of that, like, that obviously, like, when you're presented with other evidence and other evidence, more information, obviously you change your calculation. But what prejudice allows us to do is it allows us to have more insight on a thing that could be a danger or a thing that we can fix. Right? And let me explain what I mean, is that if you're able to target that there's a specific community that has a specific problem, then you can try to specifically find out how to solve it, rather than trying to make a blanket thing that isn't like a targeted cure. Again, it's right. It's like when you have a problem, right? Like say you have like an arm injury, right? You don't try to cure the leg, right? It's less efficient to try to cure the entire body than it is to cure the specific part that's ailed. That's kind of what I mean.
Overwhelming number of those on the left, at a ratio of 6 to 1, support violence compared to those on the right. And we see people being murdered in cold blood. If you are...
No, what I mean is like I just feel like it's been there's a lot of stigma behind it, right? Like people don't even you hear me say the word prejudice. I'm pretty sure it sends a shiver down people's spines. Like, oh wow, she likes saying that prejudice is a good thing. I think prejudice is a neutral thing. I think prejudice is a neutral tool. I think it's one of humanity's greatest assets, is that we have the ability to recognize patterns and to use those to make informed decisions. And obviously, like, there's a bad aspect of that. And the bad aspect of that is when you form a, and this is kind of just retardation, to be honest, where you form like a pattern recognition of like, okay, like the percentage chance of me like, of this being a negative thing for me is very high. But then you get more information that lowers that to like basically 1%, and you still keep it at very high. Do you see what I mean? Like there is like a retarded aspect there where like some people are a little fucking dumb, right? Like I'll give you a good example. Like that you'll have people who are like, okay, well, and this is just the easy one to go to. Oh, black people commit a lot of crime, which is true. Right, there's like a high crime rate in like the in the black community. All right, so black people commit a lot of crime. And you're like, okay, I'm coming across a random black person, and if your only data is that they're black, therefore I'm in danger, you're not taking in all of the information. And I can illustrate that to you. If you see a person coming at you, and they're completely like they look like they're gonna jump you, like they've got like the hoodie on, they've got the bandana on, they have their hands in their pockets, it looks really fucking sus, right? They're walking towards you. I think it's perfectly reasonable to be like, okay, you know, I'm just not gonna go that way, I'm gonna go like a different way, because like there's a % chance that they're gonna hurt me, right? But then if you applied that same thing to like Clarence Thomas or Thomas Sowell, and they were walking towards you, and you were like, you made that same calculation, it doesn't make any sense, because you're not accounting for the other factors. And that's kind of what I mean by like you're kind of being retarded. when and that's when it's a little bit toxic, when you're toxic in that you're being stupid. You're making a bad calculation by making that like the only calculation. And by the way, this is the reason why it's important to like have, this is a little bit of a tangent, but in California, they try to make it so that you can't find people's criminal records. You can't like look at criminal records, right? And they do this to like protect criminals from like having people being able to look into that. But that's very important, because if you're going to hire somebody, right, and this is the effect of it, by the way, let me tell you the entire effect of it is, if you remove the ability to look up people's criminal records, what happens is people then make an assumption as to if a person is a criminal or not based on other factors, which then leads to people who are in high crime demographics getting hired less, because you're unable to actually pull more data to make a more informed decision.
Conservative, right-leaning in the
Sorry, yeah. And this is why being able to understand like the data and like to actually make those kind of on the fly like calculations of like danger is really important. And I think teaching people to be desensitized to that and to like not even account for that at all is actually like, it's actually bad for people.
this country and a public speaker, you are more at risk. How is that pointing the finger?
Because to them, everything has always been a matter of perspective.
I think how data is presented matters a lot.
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I really have on that particular thought. Were you wanting?
To drive this point home, Stephen does the best thing you can do. Rather than tell, you show. He pulls up a video clip.
Let me show you what they don't include in the data, because like you said, people speak differently than data. Remember this in Portland?
When was this?
Summer of Love, George Floyd riots. Aaron Danielson shot point blank dead because he was a Trump voter. And the man, Reinhold, it was Michael Reinhold who shot him,
Holy
told the cops,
shit.
I got the Trump supporter dead. We agree that's political violence?
Yes.
So why do you think that wouldn't be included in the data as left-wing political violence? Because that's the number cited by the left right now to justify it.
I think we have so much data that it's hard to even, especially in the today's.
So now we just have too much data, so therefore we can't identify objectively wrong behavior accurately because there's too much data.
You're saying in the police recorded call, they said
He spoke to the police before they shot him.
So it's on a 911 call. That
So this is on
the Trumper.
Yeah, he was talking to the police.
Even this example, she's doubting.
So there's
that's disturbing, yeah.
This is security camera video, and then I believe there's also police camera video. Clear as day. Are you a Trump supporter? Yes, we've got a Trump supporter. Bang, bang, dead. All the studies from left-wing sources don't include that.
Everything up to this point was to get her to think about this.
Would it surprise you if the authoritative source that's being cited, the prosecution project, the author of it, was actually arrested himself on January 20th protesting Donald Trump, committing crimes, and that entire day was also omitted?
Probably not.
A member of Antifa who said we are an organized group and we confront fascists. That's the source that gets disseminated across. Seems like there might be a bias there.
I mean, he's got her. He's
Honestly, Crowder's pretty good at arguing. Like he's actually like I think like his style is I think very everyday person.
Presenting this so well, she does not have anywhere to go with this. She has to concede.
And you celebrated it. A majority of people on the left, not all, not yourself, but too many celebrated it.
I don't celebrate death in that way.
But many did, and we both know that we saw it.
I know you're right,
And then you came and blamed us and said we need to tone it down, and told us that we're more violent with clearly dishonest stats.
Yeah.
That's why I say the both sidesing it doesn't help, because you're backing people into a corner, not you, the left, with lies.
After all of this, what is her response? This is really hard. I just don't have enough time.
Would you disagree with any of those approaches? Changing the rhetoric, taking accountability, and stopping the soft on crime revolving door criminality policy?
This is hard, Stephen, because I just feel like we don't have enough time to even really dive deep into each one.
Well, those
of
are two proposals.
Issues. I know, but I just need more time to process and really consider and to understand what you mean exactly with each thing. Actually, I'm so
Okay, that's fine.
I have to go to class.
Okay, well, please peruse those sources.
Yeah.
Forbidden Gabagool, thank you so much for the sub as well. Crowder's a real one for stepping up to play after all that's happened. I know it kind of has gone full circle, right? Since he was like the first one to do it. Let me link you guys. Let me link you guys the Warren video first. I really like Warren a lot. I know I always glaze Warren, so yeah, check him out.